My name is Ali Ansari, and today I'm talking to my friends about the Jazlan murder case. Jazlan was a 19-year-old teenager who was murdered on May 25 in the streets of Bahria Town. He interrupted a kid who was doing stunts on motorcycles on Bahria Town, and he told him to be safe. In retaliation, that kid called his brothers and friends who had an altercation with Jazlan, and they shot him. They shot him while he was driving away. So now I'm going to ask two of my friends who are not from Pakistan what are their view on this thing and what questions do they have, so that I can explain to them the situations of law in Pakistan and how somebody could get justice in Pakistan.
Hi, my name is Lana Husband. I am a student here at the San Francisco Film School and also a veteran, and I work for Embassy Uni and the Associated Press. I've known Ali for about a year, and I'm fascinated by his level of advocacy and just interest in helping people. So I really want to learn more just about, one, how his filmmaking is going to help this family, and two, how he even got started in all of this.
Hello, I'm Mariam, and I know Ali for a year as well. And I'm a doctor, and I'm working in a hospital here in New York. And that's about it. And I was very intrigued in this topic because we hear about things like this, and these things just go under the bushes and buses, and we don't know much about it, what happened. So we want to talk about it, if there's any, any update to the case or whatever, because it's been 3 months to this case, and we want to know if there's any update.
I really want to know first, how did you first get involved in it? How did you first find out? Take me to that moment in time.
Well, I woke up on May 25th to the news that a teenager was shot dead on a trivial argument in a very poor society in Karachi. And I thought it was a joke. I mean, later on I realized it's actually true. And the more I got to know about this, the more I got to learn about this, the more I realized how much anarchy and lawlessness is in this country. How much anarchy and lawlessness is in Pakistan. If somebody has the means to kill somebody, they'll just kill them. That can happen anywhere in the world, but in Pakistan, you can get away with it. And so that thing got my attention. Now, me being from that country where I was born, I thought it was some false pretense that it might not be the thing. And I wanted to investigate it further. And the further I investigated, the further I realized that the person might get away with this thing for doing this. There was a lot of outcry in the country throughout for this thing, because this could happen to anybody. But nothing happened to it so far.
Wow. So you're saying first of all, just the idea of somebody can practically, you're saying literally get away with murder. I mean, is it common? Could you talk to me more about just how, what is allowing this to happen even? Because it's kind of outside my scope of an idea, because, we have laws, we have governance and stuff, if people hurt somebody, they go to jail. How is this allowed to happen?
Well, in Pakistan, it's a developing country, as you can tell. But there are laws over there. The Pakistani laws are based on Islamic as well as constitutional law of Pakistan. So we do have a blend of Sharia as well as constitutional laws in Pakistan. What is one thing in Pakistan is that there's laws, but a lot of people don't implement them. The implementation bodies are very weak. And the people who are trying to do it usually get stopped by the other people who don't want this to be done. I understand that you're from a developed country. In America, if there's a crime, people do get punished for it. The punishment is very based on the jury and based on the law that they broke in whatever state they have. But killing somebody is a federal crime even in America. Mm-hmm. And getting away with a federal crime is extremely hard in America. People usually run away. In Pakistan, one of the reasons why this is so common for people to run away from murder is because in Pakistan, one of the reasons why a lot of people can get away with murder is because barely anybody get prosecuted for this. And the reason for that is many people are very powerful. So there's different kinds of classes. There's the rich class, and then there is the lower middle class. The middle class has just gone away. So the people who attacked Jazlan are not some commoners in Pakistan. They're very well off, well to do. One of them, Inshal, comes from a military background. And in Pakistan, if you have a military background in your family, it's kind of impossible to touch you. And the other people, the other kids, let it be Hasnan or Faz or Ehsan, they come from a very wealthy family. And when you come from a very wealthy family, it's also very hard to put you under the law. So in Pakistan, it's very common because there's too much rich people and they want to enjoy their privilege. And there's also too much poor people. But apparently they don't get the same privilege as the rich people does. And the law is not there to protect the poor. The law is there to make sure the rich people are protected.
So you're saying that if some rich person has all the power, more power than the law in Pakistan, then every government positions or whatever, they're more powerful than that?
Yeah, when you're rich, you can buy those positions, you can buy that security, you can buy that law.
Wouldn't that create an anarchy between the local normal people, like the middle class and the lower class? Don't they stand up for their rights?
Yeah, like that's literally what's going on here. We had George Floyd and Trayvon Martin, and so many people that have been, because of either race or economic status, they've gotten, you wouldn't think of it in America too, but
yeah,
we're also trying to figure out a way to solve that and have advocacy.
I think something's happened, and then everybody came out in support of that person.
We're trying to fight it. How do you guys try to fight it out there? How are you trying to fight personally? Because it sounds like it's such a huge thing to take on.
So you mentioned about something really good. You mentioned about the George Floyd situation that happened. So I want to ask you this question. How much media attention did that case got?
Because people supported it. It was
Tons.
all over
my
social
God.
media. It was all over, and everybody came out in support of it. They had local groups, and they did small marches.
Social media really did a lot for that because people got the information out there and started talking to each other, and then started organizing. That's been the biggest thing for any of these types of movements.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of wondering, is it like that in Pakistan? How do you guys, share your voice?
So, for instance, in the case of Mr. Floyd, he got justice at the end.
Uh-huh.
There was I think, a prosecution. The judicial system went, and however that happened, there was a case, and the case happened in a very flawless manner. But here in Pakistan, the social media works as long as the case is hot. Once the case is not hot and it's not selling newspaper, it's not selling you TRP, then the people drop the cases. So I had the privilege to talk to Jazlan's family. Today I am at the house of Jazlan Faisal Khan. Jazlan Faisal Khan was brutally murdered while trying to school a person on driving recklessly in Bahria Town in Karachi. This incident happened about 2 weeks ago. The media picked it up, but as of now, there has been many changes in the story, and the IO investigating officer in that case is not responding very well, and they had to change the IO. With me is Jazlan's grandfather. Jazlan was an orphan. His father died at the age of when Jazlan was 10, and he was taken care of by his grandfather. He would call him Kaka. So I have a couple of questions, and sir, can you please let me know what do you expect from the law?
Sorry?
What do you expect from the law? What are your demands?
My demand is that I should be the justice for Jazlan. Jazlan should be obtained, Jazlan, and the culprit be hanged, be penalized.
The police have involved as Section 302, which is premeditated murder, and other two articles, but they have failed to include the article of Terrorism Act in this case. Was this done deliberately?
Yes, they have failed to impose penalty. Their negligence or intently they do that. They done, but the new investigation, I hope from them, they will include, inshallah.
Why do you think they have not included the anti-terrorism charges in this case?
Because some reason of the culture and the corrupt system of our
The accused, are they very powerful?
They are not only powerful, they are very influenceable.
So
they are very, yes.
So it could be said that the first IO did not deliberately put the terrorism charges because of the influence from the accused family.
Yes, the interrogation officer already know that he can include that. But why not? Why did he did that?
Why didn't he?
Because some reason.
What could be the reason?
Involved in corruption, I think, maybe. Influenced.
You told me that when you went to see the accused, they were being treated very well. They were not being treated as a prisoner. They were allowed to roam freely inside the police station. They were given KFC. They were given
Yes.
VIP treatment. Can you tell me more about that?
When I was there, I saw that they are very comfortably sitting there.
They as in the accused?
Yes, but investigation officer told me that they slept in AC room. Yes.
The accused slept in the air-conditioned room.
Yes, air conditioned room. I am very astonished to hear that. Why are you speaking with it? This is my way of procedure. My way of interrogation.
So his way of interrogation is actually accommodating the
Very surprising.
accused.
Yes.
How did it make you feel? Does it boil your blood?
They are not only sleeping, they are feeding and living just like they are their damad, what I'll say.
Son-in-law.
Son-in-law, becoming son-in-law, treating like that.
One of the things that demand you asked me was that you want the Bahria Town CCTV footage. Why hasn't the Bahria Town CCTV footage not been recovered yet?
I request very humbly that the organization and the administration should provide the recording. If they not provide, I think they are also involved.
If this incident would have happened to the owner of Bahria Town, his son, his grandsons, do you think the response would have been different?
Different.
Very different?
Very different. Within the accused can't cross the border of the boundary wall of the Bahria Town.
Bahria Town does have very strict
Yeah.
security checks. How were they
If
able
they
to
are-
get out so quickly? How were the accused able to get out so quickly after killing somebody?
Because they are very influenceable and they know everything, and the security, there is security lapse also.
If they're influential, then are you not scared of your own security at this moment?
Yes, I am not.
It took me 2 minutes to trace your house and come inside your house. 2 minutes. Do you think anybody who's on the accused side could have come and harmed you in any way?
बिल्कुल कर सकते हैं. I think that they can do.
Is the government providing you any security?
No, but they say, "Oh, you are not worried. We are with you. Don't worry."
Wasn't the police with your son when he was murdered? In a sense, he could have called the cops,
Yes,
right? But did that help him?
you should see that if the accused from them, how they can save them. The elite class pertain to their elite class. We are pertain to belong to lower middle class.
So your fault in this country is being
Yeah,
born
yeah,
in a
this
lower
is-
middle class.
Yeah. this
Had
is
you
fine.
been an upper elite class, this would have been a different story?
Yeah, definitely sorry.
Had you been well connected, this would have been a different story?
Yes, definitely sorry.
Had you belonged to army, it would have been a different
Yes,
story?
We can get within days the justice.
Your family migrated from India to Pakistan for a better life. Do you think this is the right thing to do?
Yes, we sacrifice a lot of million of Jazlan.
What-
Then we get this country. A million of Jazlan murdered. How I stay here? How can I survive? How can we survive here? there anybody to stop them? To build a wall? Come please for justice. Stand beside us.
What message would you give to the Supreme Court of Pakistan? The Supreme Court's open every in a night when there's a serious issue pertaining to them, but when it's about you, how long has it been since the case? 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
I don't think Supreme Court, we not belong to elite family, that's why.
So the law does not pertain to elite families.
No, no.
It is only punishable
We are
to the
just-
lower middle class.
Yeah, we are just insect. In front of them, we are just insect, nothing.
You don't even consider yourself human being in front of them.
No, yes,
You're insignificant to them,
yes.
and they can treat us, you, me, however they want it, and get away with it.
Sorry?
They can treat you, me, us, however they want it. They can kill us at their own will.
Yeah.
They can beat us at their own will. They can take our women at their own will, and they will get away with everything.
Well, yes, because law and everything, justice, they are ruling, under their control, not for us.
How many years of your
Oh,
life did you give to this country? 60, 70? How many years of your life did you give to this country?
No, there is no guarantee, because Pakistan, I don't want to say my country, this is my very loving country.
Despite
But the
all that is
ruler of the
happening
country.
bad with you, your son being, your grandson being buried by rich elite mafias,
Yes.
by you not getting justices, by the IO not putting the ATC charges, despite you getting injustice from the system and from people who rule the system, you still loved your country. Why?
Because the country, we get million of Jazlan murdered, million of Jazlan sacrificed. We love due to this, we love this country.
So millions of Jazlan sacrificed their life to make Pakistan, and now more millions of Jazlan will be killed? Is that?
I and my family stand for that. Please stop here. Please stop. Please build a wall in front of them, the people who are killing Jazlan. Now no more Jazlan will be killed. If you do not stand beside us.
What message would you give to overseas Pakistanis who, just like you, work their life off for Pakistan, and then when they come back, they see this disproportion within the class system?
In this system, as they are all very known with news and media, not safe.
Would you call this?
Poor people are a low middle class is not safe.
Would you call this country a country of gangsters, mafias, and
Yes.
rich people?
In the country is under control them. They are rulers in any way, any shape. The
What
country-
would you request the public? How can they help you?
Public, I request public that because come forward and stand beside us, stand against them, stand against this culprit people before you were too late.
And do you see these killings getting stopped in future or no?
If the people, if the country, people come together, inshallah, this will, I think, we can stop. If I am using if, and if you delete if, nobody can save here.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's anarchy everywhere in Pakistan. Where being rich and being powerful can get you out of everything, including murder of a young person. With me is Jazlan's grandfather. This is Ali Ansari. Thank you. Sorry for asking.
Thank
And I asked him what happened to all the social media hype that you were getting. And he said it went away. People said, if you have a breaking news, then tell me. So as long as there's a breaking news in Pakistan, the media would catch to it. But if there's no TRP, there's no breaking news.
This issue did get the breaking news part. Like this issue did get the social media highlight. How did it wear off? Like when did it wean off?
It wore off because it is very sad to say that people forget. People forgot a murder. People forgot a kid was killed. People forget someone's grandson was taken away. People forget that this kid was an orphan. His father was dead. People forget that he was raised without a father and he died without a father.
Is it deliberately the other people, the other side had power and money? That's why everybody deliberately forgot the whole situation.
Or is it kind of like an out of sight, out of mind type thing where if people don't see it, they just stop caring?
Both. The answer is both. If people don't see it, they stop caring. And also the family is very powerful. So people are scared of their family. See, in Pakistan, there are different kinds of people. They're scared of Allah. Then there's people scared of the law. Then there's people scared of people who are scared of the law.
Okay.
So these people are the one who actually make the law. You can say that these people think this law is their pet. They can pet the law.
Okay.
And they can give them a treat. Their treat could be 1 million rupees, or 2 million rupees, or 3 million rupees. However bigger the amount the treat is, the bigger the case is. And so they treat the law as their, how would you say it? Yeah, as their pet. And then they can play with it. Whereas the poor people, they only get all the articles on them because they can't afford to either pay off or they can't afford good lawyers.
So, and I'm sorry for cutting off earlier, but I've got to ask, like, you talked briefly about meeting this family, right? And everything, like, and it doesn't sound like they're a wealthy family at all. Can you talk to us about what was like the first time you met this family and got in touch with them and everything? Like, how did the process work out? How did it, how did you feel about it? How did they feel about it? Because I imagine, like, it seems like you guys didn't know each other from Adam, like from anybody before this. So. Right.
So I wanted to reach out to this family because this thing could have happened to me as well. I, like any other Pakistani citizen, can go tell somebody, hey, stop driving like recklessly. And then he can call his brothers and get me killed. This could have happened to me. So I thought, like, instead of his place, I could have been there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I reached out to this family, and they live in a very unsafe area of Karachi.
Okay.
But it's very easy to get in touch with them. So the only security they had was one security guard who's like, where are you going? And I said, I'm going to go meet Jazlan's family. And he said, all right, you're good to go. I could have literally brought guns. I could have literally brought bombs. I could have literally brought anything, poison, to kill them. And I would have gotten away very easily. So there was no security with them. Let's make this very clear. They're under a lot of threats and there is no security.
So there's no protection in place at all?
There is no protection. They have zero protection. If anything, it's very encouraging for anybody who does not like them to come and massacre them. And I mean massacre, not just kill them, massacre, because...
Do you really think that's a possibility?
100%.
Why?
100%.
Why in the world would they do this to a family? I mean, they just lost their son. Yeah.
Because here's the thing, this case, it should be considered as a terrorism act. It's not being considered as a terrorism act. And one of the reasons for that is because if this case is considered as a terrorism act, there would be a lot more oiling in this case. Okay. The people would be subjected to higher punishments. The family would be given protection. And even the father whose gun was used, Muhammad Faiz, he would be considered as an accomplice to this case. And he could be subjected to punishments such as death and life imprisonment. So a lot of people are not taking this case in the Anti-Terrorism Court of which Pakistan had an anti-terrorism article of 1997.
Okay.
And they're not trying to do that deliberately. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to pressurize the family to drop the charges. Because if the family is persistent in upkeeping those charges, and these charges get converted into the Anti-Terrorism Act of 1997, amended in 2014, then it's going to be very difficult for the family, for the rich family, to fight off this case.
So it sounds like, there is an option out here, but you're saying, like, there's all this pressure within the family, like to get it dismissed. Like, can you talk to me a little bit about what type of invitation tactics are they using? Like, because I'm not really familiar with Pakistan, so I don't really know, like, how that would even work. Like, what exactly is going on? When did you find out?
Well, I found out once I interviewed the family. they were getting death threats, they were getting calls. So Jazlan was an orphan. He did not have a father, and his grandfather is still alive, who's running the main case. However, he does have an uncle, and the uncle has children's, and he has uncles and aunts, and they have children. So what the Faz family and Inshal family are doing at this moment is they're pressurizing the Jazlan family to drop the charges, and they're doing this by threatening them to hurt their other members of the family, directly and indirectly.
So that's a threat.
Wait, how are they doing? For one, how are they doing that? And two, how are they getting away with it? Like, do you have like proof? Like, is there something?
Yeah.
Oh,
Why don't
wow.
they show that in the media?
Yeah. Why don't they bring that to light?
So the media is not going to pick up this case until there's a breaking news. Until one of the family members of Jazlan die. Until one of the family members of Jazlan dies, the media is not going to pick this up.
Won't intervene unless someone is dead. That's how the media is.
And that's
A death news is so much more better than something that can prevent the other being murdered part.
It's pretty shameful in Pakistan, but that's how things work in Pakistan. A breaking news is worth selling than some
news that could save somebody else's life is not that much worthwhile.
Well, first of all, like, I know we talked a little bit about this previously about how this person died, and it's just like, how can people not see this as, hey, this could be your friend? Yeah.
This just the small thing could hurt your ego that much that you can do this heinous act. Were they mentally unstable? Did they have any psychic evaluation? Or like, how did this happen? Like a normal guy going on a bike, doing whatever, any stunt, whatever. How, in his mind, how does he think that he's like, oh, this person said no to me, I'm gonna kill this person?
It's also too like, how can people be okay with it in general?
Yeah.
Just the idea of,
I'm pretty sure this is not his first that came in line because he was so okay with it.
Now, let me clarify a couple of things over here. Yes, I think the defense is going to use the article that these people are mentally unstable.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the question: if you're mentally unstable, what the hell are you doing with the 9mm? And not just one 9mm, multiple 9mm, live ammunition rounds, and then you're shooting at other people. So if you're mentally unstable, how the hell do you get a licensed pistol in Pakistan?
And what are the odds that like all of this group, everybody is mentally unstable? Like there's not even one person be like, oh, this is something wrong, you can't do something like that. Not all of them, like, because you said there's he called his friends and his brothers and everybody just like jumped to the gun. Like, have they done this before? Do we know that or do we not know that?
So I'm sure they probably have done it before and they got away with it.
Mm-hmm.
This time the media case got a lot of attention.
Mm-hmm.
I'm completely fine with somebody doing a stunt, right, and having an argument.
We see a lot of things like that.
Yeah, people do
We
that
just
all the
pass
time
by.
here. You see people like performing on the sidewalk,
Yeah.
or even you see kids doing stupid things on like the subway.
Yeah, some people just
You know?
don't like it. Some people just say it to the face. Oh, I
Yeah.
don't like it. Get out. That's it.
But
Like,
you
they just
don't
walk away.
respond by shooting somebody. You don't. Like that's too much. That's way too much. But the fact that so many people and like, how many people in Pakistan are caring about this, and how is it actually like,
A lot of people don't care
change.
about it. At this moment, the case is dead. So, one thing I want to point out: it's okay to have road rage. It's a bad thing. It's okay to have road rage, right? People have road rage. We have road rage in America. We have road rage in Europe. We've been to so many countries. We see road rages everywhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it's
It's not a
another
good thing,
thing calling 24 of your friends to come and beat up and then fatally shoot somebody. So what happened was Hasnan was a teenager. He was driving on his motorcycle in Bahria Town. Jazlan and his friends were coming back from a study. And so he was doing stunts in front of their car. And so he almost hit them. And Jazlan gets out and he's like, please don't do this in front of my car. Now I'm sure the verbiage would have been different. Not please don't do this. Hey, stop doing this.
Yeah, a little
Yeah.
bit stronger,
Who
probably.
would have had an
argument,
Yeah.
right? Which
It
happens
happened at the
kids.
moment.
Well, yeah, that's
Kids.
understandable. I
Right.
mean,
But then
nobody
what
wants to walk
Hasnan
in
did
on that.
is he called his brothers Irfan, Ehsan, and Inshal, and a bunch of other 15 to 20 people. Now, according to Jazlan's mother and the accounts that I've interviewed, is that these people were high. They were very high.
Whoa.
Okay.
You wouldn't think drugs is
They were
common in Pakistan, right,
intoxicated.
Lana?
No, I wouldn't have.
Extremely common.
Well, like, because it
Yeah,
definitely
there had to
sounds
be
a little.
something, yeah.
Well, here's the thing: is like it definitely sounds a little premeditated. I hate to say that because you're planning on bringing your friends out. You
Yeah.
know something's gonna go
There
like,
had to be
go
something,
down.
yeah.
Yeah, but so how they get a hold of the drugs? How they get a hold of guns? and then-
That is a thing, right? So this small altercation turned into a big enmity. So
That's somebody's life on the line, and the other family is just like,
it's
It's
like you're
their
calling
entire
soldiers for
life.
backup, right? You're calling soldiers. As far as I know, you work in the military, right?
Yeah.
This is how you call backup from one checkpoint to
Exactly.
another checkpoint, right?
Well, that's why I said premeditate, because that's what we call it here in the States, is where you think about it, you're thinking about those actions before you do it. There's a plan in place. And that's what this sounds like, is that plan in place. I know I can't speak for, because I don't know, one, Pakistan law, or what happened in that moment, because I don't have all the evidence. But it sounds like, if you're going to call your buddies out ahead of time, that's going to cause a conflict,
Right. And you
it's just
cause-
asking for it.
So you call about 2 dozen friends, right?
they didn't care.
Well, they wanted to show they're stronger.
Yeah, so they didn't care what else.
They wanted you think somebody could do that in America, Lana?
The thing is, like, I feel like in the US, and please correct me if I'm wrong because I don't know enough about Pakistan. One, we report it on the news a lot, and then two, we have a lot of people that try to come together to advocate for that, for the families and stuff like that. We're not the best at it all, but we do try to. I know we're working on that. Is that something that you guys are?
Yeah. So this interview is to showcase that a lot of people don't know this. Now that you know about this case, what are your opinions? Do you feel sympathetic towards the kid who lost his life?
I feel horrible. That could be any one of our friends. That could be somebody that I have neighbors that do silly things all the time. That could happen to anyone. But the fact that, somebody's letting it just go and not trying to get justice for a family that's mourning for their child. The child, you put so much love into your kid, and then your kid's taken away from you like that. The family deserves justice. And then also, there needs to be a way to keep that from happening again. And I feel like that's something that people need to work on. Yeah,
Right.
Is there a way to, is that what you're doing and what you're trying to work on?
This is what we're trying to do. We're trying to make sure that the accused, are completely held responsible by the law. Whatever the law deems is the right punishment for them, for that to happen, and for the family to get justice and protection.
So you mentioned that there could be a charge on this whole case, Anti-Terrorism Act, and you said it wasn't implicated, but it should have been. Why do you think it hasn't been implicated yet?
First of all, what is the Anti-Terrorism Act? For those of us that have no clue. And two, how can, a regular person, we're not Pakistani, but, we don't live there. How can somebody out there help make that happen?
So, as terrorism was coming up to rise in Pakistan after the Soviet withdrawal in Afghanistan, a lot of Kalashnikovs were being circulated within Pakistan, and a lot of gang warfare, street warfare, and also a lot of mujahideens, a lot of people were coming in Pakistan and causing harm to it. So the government came together and made an act called Anti-Terrorism Act of 1997, and that was to tackle the increase of terrorism in Pakistan, and which is a good thing, because prior to that, if you were get caught in certain places, only certain law would apply to you, certain provincial law would apply to you, not the federal law. But the Anti-Terrorism Act made an anti-terrorism court. It made certain laws on how you can deal with them, and what the punishment you should have, and what kind of protection you will get. The Anti-Terrorism Act of 1997 was then amended in 2014 with a better definition. It is still a somewhat vague law, but it is very much diverted towards fighting terrorism in Pakistan and make it a peaceful country, because Pakistan gets a synonymous name for terrorism in a lot of news articles and a lot of news agencies and people. So they want to eliminate terrorism, and they want to have a better image of the country. Now, this act has a very specific definition of terrorism. And so, apart from the definition that says that you cannot attack a military or you cannot attack federal police, that could be considered terrorism, it also says that, and I read,
Okay, so basically it's got like a criteria to it.
it has criteria. It says, so whoever to strike in people any section of people or alienate any section of people or adversely affect them among different sections of people does may a thing by using bombs, dynamite or other explosives. So whoever strikes fear in people, in this case, I was scared because this could have happened to me in the Jazlan case or anybody else, by using arms or ammunition, which in this case was they used a pistol, right? That causes the death of somebody, which in this case the kid died. The kid died. He bled to his life. He died. It's considered an act of terrorism. So by the definition of this law, this is considered an act of terrorism. However, it's not being considered an act of terrorism. And one of the reasons why it's not being considered an act of terrorism is because the same section says on Article 7, the punishment of act of terrorism is death.
Oh wow.
And it's very hard to evade death punishment in Pakistan. It is becoming extremely hard. The court that deals with this is not a normal court. It's an anti-terrorism court. And to bribe that court becomes very hard. Yes, maybe there are cases where you can bribe them, but guess what? It's an extremely hard case to bribe them. Not only this, Section 21 of this article says that you will provide protection to the witnesses. In this case, family of Jazlan becomes one of those witnesses because they are still somewhat witnesses and family of that, and so they need protection. Apart from that, the gun being used in this case belonged to Muhammad Faiz, the father of the 3 kids. So if this was a normal case, he could say like, I don't know, my kids just took my gun. What am I supposed to do? But according to this act, according to this law, if you provide ammunition to somebody or somebody uses your ammunition,
you're subjected to it.
You're subjected to this law as well.
Okay, so it sounds like it's, putting it in the terrorism court is definitely going to help the family, but I'm trying to understand too, because I know I'm ignorant on this, but how is it going to be in a terrorism court? How is that really going to help prevent this from happening again to anybody else? If people can buy their way out of literally murder, how is this really that different? What makes this so special, and why is it important?
Sadly, people will in Pakistan at this moment, from all what we've learned, buy their way out. But if it were to go in anti-terrorism court, punishments are hard. If they are given the just punishment, then from their death people can learn that the law is above everybody else, and not everybody else is above the law. It's not the other way around. So let's say this case goes to anti-terrorism court and there's immense amount of evidence that points that this thing was a part of act of terrorism. A person did die, headshot, another person got wounded, his other friend Ali. And then if they are given death punishment and their death is televised or in any case shown properly, and people will be scared. Here's the thing, if you were to steal some money from your mother beats you up, are you going to do it again?
Probably not.
Probably not. So in a country, if there's a law, right, and people follow that law, and everybody's going to follow that law. A law cannot be partial. For some it is, for some it's not. A law has to be absolute. And when law becomes absolute, that's when people start respecting the law.
Yeah, that's kind of like what we did with the whole George Floyd stuff, was we wanted to hold people accountable for the actions
that they're
doing. It wasn't just, granted, I'm not going to delve too deep into that, but it's just the idea of, hey, one, people can see that there's justice for the family, but two, the cool thing about laws like court in the US is that you can cite it for another case, meaning that if, say, that horrible incident happened here in the US and they got a trial and people got convicted,
so they can cite it.
They could cite it for another family that goes through that, so it protects them.
So it's like a chain reaction, and it helps everybody that comes out after. Exactly,
it keeps them safe.
Yeah, that's how Supreme Court's verdicts and all those the only problem is, this is not a case about just law. It's about a rich man misusing a law as their I hate to say this, as a hoe, versus another person using the law as a protection. So where would the law go?
So how do you fight it? How do the average, like, how does an average person even try to like stand up for this or try to get it moved over to another court? Is there a way to do that?
Well,
Yeah, that's why this is my closing question. That's why I'm trying to wrap it up.
Well, the way you can fight this thing is by screaming. In jungles, how do animals fight? They scream. And Pakistan, sadly, is becoming a jungle right now where whoever is louder is going to win. So in this case, I can file a lot of petitions in Pakistan, but they're never going to reach. The only way that I can do this is by screaming, I want justice, I want justice, I want justice. This person is dead. He can't scream for himself, can he?
No.
He can't. So the only way you can make this thing correct is by keeping it up in the media and telling people accountable, hey, we need to fix this. This can happen to your son. When are you going to wake up when this happens to you or your son? No. You need to wake up now.
Yeah, so you basically have to force the media to highlight this case, because for that we need more people, like everybody who's watching this interview and everything, to highlight it more, talk about it more.
So it's like those protests and stuff where you're using the power of your voice
on social
to
media.
get people like caring about this, and to then just get them to actually talk about it. Because York and Ray, I hate to say it, in the news we go where there is a story, and it's not because like we're trying to cover the worst things usually, at least that's what I can say about American journalism. We're just trying to get information out there as uniquely and quickly as possible, because you only have one day to do it. Get it and push it out fast.
Yeah.
So when people like do these protests, it actually helped us out a lot, because then we could cover in one place, and you could.
It's harder to silence a whole mass of people that are actually questioning things. It's easier to silence the family, just the small amount of people. When it's a mass, everybody's asking questions. It's harder to silence that. So that's what we were trying to do with this whole movement and everything. That we want your voices. That we want you to question, not just do anything. Just question what's happening. What's the update on the case? Where did it go? Just question that, and you guys will know that what happened. What really happened, and did the family get justice, or did they not get justice, or were they just silenced to that?
Yeah, I would just hate the idea of having a family, somebody I know go through that.
And I just hope that thing doesn't happen, and I hope the law actually does certain measures, whatever the measures are, and we get justice for Jazlan, and we get justice for everybody who needs justice, because I don't know if there's one case that's on the highlights. We don't know the others that didn't get the media coverage.
Right.
So let's just use our voices and everything for the good, and let's just ask questions. I think that's a better way around.
Right. I hope you learned a lot about this thing. I hope this would bring in some insight in people to, stand up and voice some concern about this kid Jazlan. It could have been anybody,
Yeah,
could have been anybody. Could have been me. Could have been you. Could have been you going in Pakistan. And these kind of things prevent people from going to Pakistan. I know a lot of Americans are like, hell, I'm never going to go to this country. Where if I were to die like this, what will happen?
It's definitely scary, because you're like, I would love to visit there, because I know like India is this beautiful place. Pakistan, I've heard, is absolutely amazing, but if they're not going to take care of their own people, then what are you going to do?
Yeah, it's true.